Barry, Grant Jr. Barry, sir, how you doing today?
See my face?
You don't look thrilled.
No.
Okay.
The reason why, and listen, I'm always thrilled to be a part of carving it up with my dear brother Bryson Carver, who is probably arguably one of the best young minds, young podcasters, young analysts out there. So please give my man the respect and sub, because if you don't jump on the wave now, you're going to be one of those bandwagon type of people when it does get crazy. So yeah, I listen. I do a show every Friday, right? It's a lot of time that passes before then. So couldn't help myself when I seen all of the commentary and talking from all the media pundits. I hit you up this morning and said, please, Bryson, I'd love to come on. Yep. Because I can't hold it anymore. Pause. That was my intro. So yeah.
Yeah, that was your intro. Okay. Well, listen, so we'll just dive into so Darvin Ham was fired. We talked about that Friday. You and I both agree with the decision. And I told you then, and I'm definitely telling you now, I feel like I am in the Twilight Zone. Because this, apparently, at least you told me that there was comparisons to Mark Jackson in Golden State, which, you know, that was the first year I was a Warriors fan was the first year, was the last year with Mark Jackson. They fired him. Remember at the time then, even the players then, they'll tell you now, we're like, the heck are we doing? This guy won 51 games. We've gotten better every year. He's developed this organization. But Darvin Ham's fired on Friday. There's time to let it bake over the weekend. And the takes today are, and again, people I respect, Stephen A. Smith. The coach killing, so to speak, is the reason LeBron has 4 rings, not 6. Kendrick Perkins said, listen, Kendrick Perkins seems like a nice enough guy. I think his analysis is an F-, just like Shady McCoy. The point is, you know, he's out there talking about how, you know, LeBron is going to hurt his legacy by continuing to play. I wish he'd just retire. Could you please explain this to me, Barry? Because I'm pretty sure I know why, but I want to know your take why this is the case.
So when I mentioned Mark Jackson, I don't think that anybody mentioned Mark Jackson, but what I'm saying is that I was tongue in cheek in saying that okay. I guess Darvin Ham is Mark Jackson now. I guess the outrage that people are seeing is because we're witnessing the next Mark Jackson. I see that he's being railroaded and he should have never lost his job. And how dare the Golden State Warriors do this to him? And he needs to be vindicated every time that there's a job opening. Mark Jackson's name gets called up.
Yep.
This is not that. Every single person that has been critical of the Lakers firing Darvin Ham, they don't watch Laker games every day. They are not in the Lakers media every day. They're not in the press conferences every day. They don't understand what's going on. Probably a lot of them haven't even read the Shams article that dropped. So, Stephen A. Smith, I know he's tapped in the NBA, but I can guarantee you he's not watching every Laker game. Michael Wilbon, not watching every Laker game. Every single Laker reporter or pundit out there has said that this is a justifiable firing just because of all the stories that you heard out there and what they've seen with their own eyes. But here's something I'd like to say about what Stephen A. Smith said, that if LeBron James wasn't this coach killer, he'd have 6 rings. You see how he stops at 6? Because they're always obsessed with one person. Newsflash about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had 4 or 5 coaches in his career. The Bucks stopped with Phil Jackson. He had Doug Collins. He had a whole bunch but he won championships with a Hall of Fame head coach. Let's go to Kobe Bryant, shall we? I have a list here. And mind you, I am a Kobe Bryant fan. You know that to be one of the biggest things, right? Do you know how many coaches Kobe Bryant had in his 20-year career?
How many?
He had 9.
Wow. Actually, that's exactly as many as LeBron.
Oh, but you won't hear that. I go through the list for you. Let's read them. In order: Del Harris, Bill Burtka, Kurt Rambis, Phil Jackson, Rudy Tomjanovich, Frank Hamblin, Mike Brown, Bernie Bickerstaff, Mike D'Antoni, and Byron Scott. All coaches that coached Kobe Bryant in his career. But you never hear about the narrative that Kobe was a coach killer. You know why? Because Kobe had a Hall of Fame coach that got him 5 championship rings.
Yeah.
You see you see the trend here is that the 2 people that they think are the GOATs in this game had one coach to get them all of their championship rings. Now let's go ahead and go look at LeBron James, shall we? Paul Silas, Brendan Malone, who was an interim head coach, Mike Brown, Eric Spoelstra, David Blatt, Ty Lue, Luke Walton, Frank Vogel, and Darvin Ham. Now there's 2 names on that list that have titles. Can you tell me that if anybody else is on this list that is the next Greg Popovich, I'd love to see it, because Frank Vogel may be on his way out of Phoenix. Sure. Darvin Ham is going to be, according to Woj, he'll be much sought after. David Blatt, where's he? No longer in the NBA. Mike Brown is coaching some other team. Has he won a championship? Brendan Malone, no. Paul Silas, rest in peace, right? Think about all of these guys that are on this list. None of them won championships after getting fired. None of them warrant this public outrage of, it's ridiculous. This is, I'm telling you, I've heard some things in the media for years. This may be the dumbest thing I've heard in quite some time. And I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, one thing, too, is what I find humorous, and you mentioned the Jordan thing, I think you're spot on, is that when you hear the defense of Darvin Ham, they never mention why Darvin Ham was a coach. If you notice that, they never mention, they say it was a wrong move and LeBron's a coach killer. Oh, well, you don't. What about Darvin? If Darvin was done dirty, so Darvin had to do something right. Well, and I'm glad you brought up the coaches though, because I actually do literally have in my notes a list where Paul, again, like you said, Paul Silas, rest in peace, won 26% of his games after LeBron. Yep. Mike Brown has not won a single playoff series since LeBron. Spo's the best coach in the NBA. We'll put him aside.
Hasn't won a title since though.
He has it, but in fairness, I don't think the rosters.
Right. Obviously, they've been to championships, so that doesn't really count. It's a moot point.
And that's actually, to me, real quick, I think that's actually been one of the few criticisms I have had LeBron. I don't think he should have left Miami, but that's another point.
No, but him and Pat Riley didn't really get along.
That's true. That's true. Blatt never coached the NBA again, and is 2 games over 500 overseas. Ty Lue, I think, is an excellent coach. Hasn't won a conference finals since LeBron left him. Luke Walton won 42% of his games since the Lakers fired him, and Frank Vogel, like you said, is probably about to get fired. So, like you said, it's not like these are, again, Steve Kerr, Greg Popovich guys. Like these are generally, outside of Ty Lue and certainly Spo, run-of-the-mill coaches. And so, but more than anything, like you said, I'm glad you mentioned the Stephen A. point. Like, he stopped at 6. He didn't keep going. He didn't say he just had more than 4. Is the fact that, again, the Jordan comparisons. Meanwhile, again, Kareem has many championships than Jordan. Kareem has more MVPs than Jordan. Bill Russell has more finals championships than anybody. It is Anthony Edwards' point. Anthony Edwards had a great quote the other day where he said, I've never seen a guy get more hate, any athlete. And it truly does blow my mind. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.